Welcome to our quarterly LIISMA Partners meeting and workshop. This month, LIISMA celebrates 20 years. This is our 20th anniversary this month, and I'd like to thank everyone who's participated and helped over the years. Some of you on this call were there actually 20 years ago and are still here, and we have some new friends also. We've done a lot of great work. There are now 8 prisms across New York State, and we have millions of dollars in funding that we didn't have 20 years ago, which is helpful. We can always use more, but so I wanted to thank everyone, our old friends and our new friends. We'll begin with a business meeting, and then that will include updates and roundtable announcements. That will be followed by 2 very interesting presentations, one on invasive species and climate change and the other on invasive viburnums. We're finding a lot of invasive viburnums on Long Island. The meeting is being recorded, so don't say anything that might incriminate yourself. All right, let's go to the next slide. I'm Bill Jacobs. As most of you know, I'm joined by Abby Bezrutsik, our Field Project and Outreach Coordinator, and Haley Gladich, our Invasive Species Specialist. First, we'll give you a LIISMA update, what the LIISMA staff has been working on since our last meeting. We break it down into terrestrial and aquatic. For our terrestrial work, we've been surveying and monitoring emerging invasive species. These are tier 2 species. We also look for tier 1 species that are in the buffer area that aren't on Long Island yet. We look for those. For example, we have been surveying and monitoring Limonium binervosum, rock sea lavender, which was found in East Hampton in only one location. It was planted. And then the other is Arthraxon hispidus. We'll tell you more about both of those species. In addition to emerging species, we survey and monitor priority conservation areas. These include our ISPZs and invasive species management areas. We've been working at Sayville Grassland, monitoring and surveying and mapping glossy buckthorn, some of the invasive viburnums that we found there. We've also been at the Rocky Point Natural Resource Management Area, surveying for southern pine beetle and glossy buckthorn. There's a healthy supply of glossy buckthorn in some parts of the pine barrens. And we've monitored some of our ISPZs, including Cedar Point County Park, which looks good, and Hubbard County Park, which is part of another ISPZ. We assist partners with invasive species management plans. We did a management plan for Sayville Grassland for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service at the Sayville National Wildlife Refuge. Myself, Lindsay Charlop, and Abby and Haley, we delivered this yesterday, and we're working on a plan for the Quag Wildlife Refuge. Gulf Coast tick. We found this tick at Sayville Grassland, and it's the first record in Suffolk County, maybe the first record on Long Island entirely. And this tick found me, really. It jumped onto my hand while I was poking around in the grass. There's a picture of it. I wanted to flick it off, but it looked like a strange tick, so I didn't want to lose it. So I kept pushing it along so it wouldn't bite me, because it's very aggressive and it was trying to bite me several times. The Gulf Coast tick has this very distinctive pattern. The male does. The female is not as easy to identify, but the male tick, the one in the center there, has this distinct, very clear pattern to it. And you can see what it looks like next to a male dog tick, which is similar pattern, but it's not quite as detailed, and it doesn't connect the same way the pattern on the Gulf Coast tick does. These ticks can be very dangerous. They carry some pretty deadly or that can cause serious injury, bacteriums for human beings and also for pets. We went back with Moses Carrera of Suffolk County and surveyed for other Gulf Coast ticks at Sayville. We did not find any others, but it's a tick you want to keep an eye out for. And they move pretty quickly. This is the spotted lanternfly. We've been surveying for spotted lanternfly. There's a statewide effort in locations where the spotted lanternfly has been found. Different portions of upstate New York have spotted lanternfly, and it shows up in Staten Island, once in a while in Manhattan, and it shows up every once in a while in Brooklyn. So it's heading east. The Department of Agriculture considers it one of the worst invasive species in 150 years because it threatens agricultural products from wine to apples to lumber and craft beer. So it's a huge threat to Long Island because we have craft beer and wine industries out here. It's first spotted in Pennsylvania in 2014. And we have a brief 1 minute and 14-second video to show you about the spotted lanternfly.
Spotted lanternflies are invasive pests from Asia that feed on plants such as grapevines and hardwood trees, including apple, cherry, walnut, and oak, weakening them and making them vulnerable to disease or attacks from other insects. Found in Pennsylvania, it's only a matter of time before they reach New York. They lay their eggs on a variety of surfaces, including vehicles, stone, and firewood, so they can easily spread to new areas when those items are moved long distances. Signs of infestation include oozing sap from tiny wounds that may give off fermented odors, massive honeydew buildup under plants, sometimes with black sooty mold, 1-inch long egg masses that are brownish gray and waxy before turning brown and scaly. Spotted lanternfly nymphs, or young insects, are black with white spots and turn red before becoming adults. Adults, which resemble moths, can be seen as early as July, are 1 inch long and half an inch wide and have noticeable red markings on their wings. Please help us protect New York's forests, orchards, and vineyards. If you think you found a spotted lanternfly, send photos to spottedlanternfly@dec.ny.gov. Thank you.
Okay, there's a new link for the spotted lanternfly. This video is from 2018. Still a good video for a short video. The new link, if you go back one, is at the Department of Agriculture website. So if you Google New York State Department of Ag and Markets spotted lanternfly, you'll get this link, and that's where you can report them also. Tom Allgaier, coming up in the roundtables, has an update for us on spotted lanternfly. This is the rock sea lavender that was found in East Hampton. You see on the right there, it was planted. There was a building here right on the shore, and someone ordered this plant in the plant trade from somewhere, we're not sure where, and planted it around the building, and it spread throughout a section of tidal marsh at 3 Mile Harbor. We did a reconnaissance survey of probably half the harbor, the lower half where we found it, and didn't see any other. So the plan is to eradicate this plant with hand pulling, working with the town of East Hampton. They're on top of this one. Small carpet grass, Arthraxon, is a high priority for us. There are 2 known locations on Long Island. It's an inconspicuous plant, so it may be underreported, but we found it in Montauk and in West Hampton. It's a low-growing annual grass of wet areas. It looks like a small native deer tongue, but the leaves are shorter, they have wavy edges, and there are distinctive or conspicuous hairs along the margins. So if you see this plant, let us know or put it into IMAP. And the one on the left is from Andy Sinisak's weed garden out in Riverhead. Andy has a green thumb for invasive plants.
Hi, I'm Abby, the Field Project and Outreach Coordinator for LIISMA, and I wanted to give the field review for all the aquatic work we've also been doing this season. Um, so a while ago with the Long Island Metro Aquatic Invasive Species Task Force, LIISMA helped develop a prioritized list of more than 700 water bodies in the area, and in ranking those, picking out the ones that are the highest priority based on their ecological characteristics, the ones that we want to protect from invasive species or manage the few invasive species or stands of invasive species that exist there. But in order to do that, we kind of needed to assess what's there and be able to have early detection and rapid response. So we picked several of the highest priority ponds and water bodies to assess them. We used either visual surveys or rake toss surveys with SAS Pro. At our last partners meeting, we had a tutorial with SAS Pro, and then we've been using it all season. And we have so far surveyed 11 high priority water bodies, mostly ponds, but also recently we did the Carmen's River. And as for our general findings, Phragmites seems to be the biggest threat to many of these ponds. Some, such as Oyster Pond, have Phragmites really lining the whole area, but others just have very small stands of just 10 stems. So that really is an opportunity for being able to have that rapid response to control this invasive plant before it really takes over. And in other areas, we noticed, like in river systems, there are areas that have higher load of invasive species and some, slower moving areas, but then other areas that are still very much intact with their native species. So that goes to show that how it can even change across one river system. And as far as follow-up management plans, we're working to coordinate some permits to clip these small stands of Phragmites at House Pond and Long Pond. And we're really looking forward to hoping to do that this season if possible.
And it's important to note, Abby said it,
Mhm.
the surveys that we're doing, if we find something, we try to turn it into a management action. We contact the landowners, help apply for permits, and help get some control work done.
Absolutely. Apart from these rake toss surveys, we've also been able to help the New York State DEC with a few of their water chestnut pulls and also a Ludwigia pull, being able to work with the community in doing these. So we've helped with water chestnut pull at Mill Pond, also ones at Twin Pond, and a Ludwigia pull on the Peconic River with a fish kayaking organization too. So that was a really good effort. And lastly, for this aquatic review, we just wanted to ask you to keep an eye out for starry stonewort. It's been reported in the area, but it's likely underreported. And so this starry stonewort originated in Eurasia, where it's considered to actually be an endangered species there. But here, it invades lakes, ponds, and slow-moving water bodies where it can grow up to 2 meters. So it's invaded other areas of New York, but again, underreported or not reported much here. It entered the US sometime in the 1970s, and it's actually a macroalgae. So it's comprised of these chains of nodes and internodal segments, which function as its stem. It has these whorls of 5 to 7 branchlets that extend from each node and has this forked appearance. Also, the color kind of varies, and earlier in the year, it's a brighter green, but later it's a greenish brown as the season progresses. And it has these star-shaped bulbils, I think closer to the base of the plant. So that's definitely an identifying characteristic. And here's, you can kind of tell the impact that it has in growing in large quantities like this. This was an iNaturalist, not found. This is not on Long Island, but
Yeah, that's up by Rochester.
right, yeah. So if you see it, definitely report it to IMAP Invasives or iNaturalist, or let us know. We'd be interested to know its extent.
Yeah, it's difficult to distinguish this one from some of the other closely related stoneworts and muskgrasses, which
Yes.
may be why it's underreported. Plus, it's an aquatic plant. Some of those tend to be underreported anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we did see some other native stoneworts and muskgrasses in these surveys too. So yeah, being able to identify would be amazing.
Are there any algae experts on the call? Or just throw that out there. Make a note in the chat
Well,
We
hi
could sing
everyone.
song.
Sorry, Bill.
No, that's okay.
This is Haley again, the invasive species specialist at LIISMA, and I just wanted to go over some E&O things that we've done this summer. So I think we've mentioned this in a previous partners meeting, the new New York State invasive species tier list that Dylan Finley, a master's student at SUNY ESF, funded by the New York Natural Heritage Program, put together. It was really great. He devised this new method to unify the tier system across New York State, combining data with IMAP and local experts. And it's a really fantastic resource that you can find right on the New York Natural Heritage Program website, as Abby has so kindly navigated us to. So you can see all of the new expert tiers of each invasive species across the state, as well as their ranking. So ranking in each region and the New York State ranking. You can filter by taxa, geography, and the different tier values. So you can see statewide, APIP, CRISP, if you want to just compare between maybe something like Long Island or Lower Hudson, you can do that as well. You can check the different boxes at the top. Or you can check for different terrestrial or aquatic animals, aquatic plants. And if you're ever lost or confused about the tier systems, you can always click that little question mark to see, again, what the different tiers mean. And it's really great. You can type in at the search table a species name. So we could type in something like, like Lespedeza, Asian bush clover, and see the different tiers compared across the different regions. So yeah, it's a great resource. I already use it almost every day to see what we've ranked different species as, because we have so many, it's easy to forget. Oh, is Lespedeza a 3? Is it a 4? It's a 4. What's it looking like? It's only a 2 in Lower Hudson. So, it helps for us to coordinate with the different prisms too on early detection and rapid response. So we highly recommend it.
If you click the link on the left where the common name is, you also get a map of where it's located, which is cool.
Yeah. So you get to see that distribution, which is also super helpful. And that's it for the tier list. Yeah, so some other things we have going on in the world of education and outreach. Me and Abby have been working on a new website for LIISMA, and we're really excited to share this with you. There's going to be a lot of exciting resources. We're going to hopefully make it a lot easier for people to contact us and share different events that are going on, as well as if you have different questions about resources, this would be a great place to look first, and send different people who might be emailing our people, like our partners, like you guys, that might have questions about invasive species management and control. So here's a little sneak peek at the top and this little scrolling GIF Abby created. We've also been participating in a number of outdoor tabling events, such as the Greenfest Expo on Shelter Island and the Halleckville Craft Fair. It's been really awesome to talk to different folks about emerging invasive species, as well as hearing about the different ones they've been dealing with in their yards and public spaces. And lastly, I've been putting together a newsletter each month to keep you all informed on what we've been up to. And if you ever have any announcements, job postings, volunteer events, anything you'd like us to circulate, you can email them to me, and I can put them on there as well. And hopefully with the new website, we'll also make that a bit easier too.
Thank you, Haley.
Yeah.
You may have heard about our subcontracts that LIISMA has this year to offer to subcontractors. We're working with our science committee. 6 proposals were approved. One is for Westbrook invasive species management with CTUC. Another is with the Sisters of St. Joseph in Brentwood on a viburnum study and control project. This site is also will also be a New York State DEC conservation easement area. Third project going across the top, Arthraxon education and outreach with Third House Nature Center. Down at the bottom, funding for spotted lanternfly education and outreach by Cornell Cooperative Extension of Nassau County. Moving to the right, EAB management at Staten Island Greenbelt with New York City Parks. And then all the way on the lower right, Hempstead Plains invasive species management. So this is a heads up of the proposals that have been approved. We have not made formal announcements yet, but those will be, the official announcements will be coming shortly.
It's hard to believe that we haven't talked about New York Invasive Species Awareness Week yet. It was a while ago, and we had a really great event, really great turnout. It was June 6th to 12th. We had 2 webinars ourselves on aquatic invasive species, and also one about the upcoming the Bioblitz that happened a little bit later. We helped with water chestnut pulls and had 2 partners host events at Sisters of St. Joseph, and also North Shore Land Alliance had a invasive species walk. And it was a great time. So it was a great way to reach out, and with virtually this year, but hopefully next year, more in-person things.
So along with NYSAW, we were able to organize with CTUC, along with Sea Grant, Long Island Sound Study, and the Peconic Estuary Partnership, the Long Island Coastal Bioblitz on iNaturalist. And we felt that it was a huge success. We had over 91 people joined the Long Island Coastal Bioblitz, and we had 62 recorded observers. There were over 2,800 observations and over 900 species. Of those were over 1,000 of them are research grade, and I'm still going back through when I have time and making some research grade observations as well. The most observed species included common milkweed, poison ivy, great egret, white-tailed deer, common mugwort, and Virginia creeper. And largely what I'm doing right now is looking through a lot of the introduced species. There was about 528 introduced species, and with a number of invasive ones that are autumn olive, Phragmites, Ragusa rose, and tree of heaven. So it's been great to see these people that have been super involved on Long Island in documenting invasive species and all the different places where we found them.
If you missed it this year, there's a good chance that we'll have another Bioblitz next year.
Mm-hmm. And with that, we have a handful of upcoming events. This Saturday, September 18th, I'll be tabling at the Swan Festival at Fresh Pond in Port Salonga, as well as tabling at the Long Island Native Plant Initiative plant sale at the Sisters of St. Joseph, the 18th, and then the following day, the 19th. September 23rd at 7 p.m., along with Cornell Cooperative Extension, we'll be holding an IMAP training for arborists, where we'll also cover some invasive pests and plants. And November 15th and 18th, me and Abby will be at the Invasive Species Summit in Albany. And November 19th, we will be having another LIISMA partners meeting. So mark your calendars for that one. And later on in March 2022, we will be having our joint LIISMA and LIMPI conference titled Rooted, a community-focused conference on invasive and native species on Long Island. And you can keep checking back with the newsletter for more updates on that.